Never respond. Never justify. Never prove. Master silence, because the strongest people in this world do not waste energy explaining themselves. They do not argue endlessly. They do not beg to be understood. And they definitely do not prove their worth to people committed to misunderstanding them. But most people, they are addicted to reacting. Someone insults them, they react. Someone misunderstands them, they explain. Someone doubts them, they try to prove themselves. And slowly, they lose their power, their peace, their dignity. Listen carefully. Every unnecessary reaction costs energy. Every pointless argument drains your mind. Every desperate explanation weakens your presence. And Stoic men understood something dangerous. The louder you try to prove yourself, the weaker you often appear. Because confidence does not scream. Confidence moves quietly. And today, you are going to learn why silence is one of the most dangerous forms of power. The first lesson: never respond to disrespect emotionally. This is where most people destroy themselves. Someone disrespects them, and suddenly emotions explode. Anger, frustration, ego, and before they realize it, they've destroyed their peace over one emotional moment. But Stoic men stayed calm, not because disrespect felt good, but because they understood. Emotional reactions give power away. The moment someone can trigger you, they control you. Think about that. A few words, and suddenly your emotions collapse. That's dangerous, because emotional people become predictable, easy to manipulate, easy to provoke. But calm people, they are difficult to control, and that creates power. This is why silence matters. Sometimes silence says, "You no longer deserve access to my energy." That silence speaks louder than arguments ever could. The second lesson: never justify yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. This truth will save your peace. Most people waste years explaining themselves, trying to be understood, trying to fix opinions, trying to convince everyone. But listen carefully. Not everyone wants truth. Some people want conflict. Some people want drama. Some people already decided who you are before you spoke, and no explanation will change them. That's reality. So stop exhausting yourself trying to convince people who enjoy misunderstanding you. Protect your peace, because over-explaining often comes from insecurity. The need to be accepted, the need to be approved. But powerful people understand. Not everyone deserves an explanation. The third lesson: never prove your worth. This one destroys millions of people emotionally. Trying to prove they matter, trying to prove success, trying to prove intelligence, trying to prove value. Why? Because deep down, they fear not being enough. But hear this carefully. The moment you start proving yourself constantly, you place your worth in other people's hands. That's weakness. Your value does not increase because someone approves of you. And it does not decrease because someone doubts you. Read that again. Powerful people let actions speak. Quietly, consistently, without performance, without desperation, without noise. This is why real confidence feels calm. It doesn't chase validation. The fourth lesson: master emotional silence. Not just physical silence, emotional silence. Because some battles happen inside your mind. Someone criticizes you, and mentally you replay it for days. Someone rejects you, and emotionally you argue with imaginary conversations in your head. That's not peace. That's mental chaos. Stoic men trained their inner dialogue. They asked, "Does this deserve my energy?" And most of the time, the answer was no. Not every opinion deserves emotional attention. Not every insult deserves mental space. Protect your inner world aggressively, because inner peace is expensive. The fifth lesson: silence exposes people. This is powerful. When you stop reacting, people reveal themselves more. Manipulators expose themselves. Liars expose themselves. Disrespectful people expose themselves. Why? Because emotional people expect reactions, drama, arguments, chaos. But when silence appears, masks fall. That's why wise people observe more than they speak. Observation creates awareness. Awareness creates power. The sixth lesson: stop trying to win every argument. Most arguments are ego battles. Not truth, not wisdom. Just wounded egos competing. And even if you win, you often lose peace, lose time, lose emotional energy. That's expensive. Sometimes the strongest move is to simply walk away, not because you're weak, but because your peace matters more than proving a point. The seventh lesson: become harder to trigger. This alone changes lives. People today are emotionally fragile. A comment ruins their day. Criticism ruins their confidence. Disrespect ruins their peace. That's emotional dependency. But Stoic men became emotionally disciplined because they understood the world will always test you. Always. People will provoke you, judge you, misunderstand you. That will never stop. But your response, that belongs to you. And the more emotionally disciplined you become, the more peaceful your life becomes. Now listen carefully. Silence is misunderstood. People think silence means weakness, fear, insecurity. No, sometimes silence is strength. Sometimes silence is discipline. Sometimes silence is emotional mastery. Because weak people react to everything. Strong people choose carefully what deserves their energy. That's wisdom. Now imagine yourself becoming this person. Someone insults you, but you remain calm. Someone doubts you, but you continue improving quietly. Someone misunderstands you, but you stop begging to be understood. That version of you becomes dangerous because emotional chaos no longer controls your decisions. People lose power over your emotions, and emotional freedom changes everything. Because once you stop explaining yourself constantly, you become calmer. Once you stop proving yourself constantly, you become stronger. Once you stop reacting constantly, you become wiser. That is Stoic power. Not loud confidence, quiet certainty, not endless talking, disciplined silence, not emotional reactions, controlled responses, and that is exactly why silence intimidates people. Because calm people are hard to manipulate, hard to control, hard to break. So from today, never respond emotionally, never justify unnecessarily, never prove your worth desperately. Instead, stay calm, stay disciplined, stay silent, and let your life speak for you. Now here's the uncomfortable truth most people never understand. The more you explain yourself, the less people respect you. Why? Because desperate energy is visible. People feel it. When you constantly explain, constantly defend yourself, constantly prove your intentions, you silently communicate something dangerous. I need your approval. And the moment you need approval, you lose power. This is why emotionally strong people move differently. They understand something most people never learn. Not everyone deserves access to your truth. Let that sink in. Some people misunderstand you on purpose. Some people twist your words. Some people enjoy seeing you emotionally drained. And if you keep explaining yourself to those people, you will lose your peace trying to win impossible battles. That's why silence becomes protection, not avoidance. Protection. Protection of your mind, your energy, your emotional stability. because energy is limited, and wasting it on pointless people is expensive. Another dangerous habit, trying to prove your success. This destroys many people mentally. People post everything, show everything, explain everything, trying desperately to look important, trying to prove they're winning, trying to convince others they matter. But truly powerful people, they don't perform confidence, they embody it, quietly, silently, because real confidence doesn't need applause. It doesn't need validation, and it definitely does not need permission. That's why Stoic men focused on becoming, not announcing. Anyone can talk. Few people build quietly. Another lesson, silence protects dignity. Most people regret emotional reactions later. The angry message, the desperate paragraph, the emotional argument, the unnecessary explanation. And after emotions settle, regret arrives, because temporary emotion made permanent damage. That's why patience matters. If emotions are high, stay silent. If anger rises, stay silent. If ego demands revenge, stay silent, because silence saves you from emotional mistakes. And emotional mistakes are expensive. Another truth, people reveal their respect level through how they react to your silence. Watch this carefully. When you stop over-explaining, some people become uncomfortable. Why? Because they can no longer control your emotions. Manipulators hate silence. Emotionally immature people hate silence. Attention seekers hate silence because silence removes their power. And suddenly, they must sit with themselves. That's uncomfortable for many people. This is why silence is feared. It creates mystery, control, discipline, and disciplined people naturally become harder to manipulate. Now let's talk about emotional maturity, because silence requires maturity. Weak people react instantly. Strong people pause. Weak people argue endlessly. Strong people observe. Weak people seek revenge. Strong people move on. That difference changes your entire life. And no, silence does not mean weakness. It means discernment. The ability to ask, does this deserve my energy? That question alone can save years of stress. Because most battles are unnecessary. Not every criticism deserves attention. Not every opinion deserves emotional investment. Not every misunderstanding deserves correction. Sometimes people misunderstand you, and that's okay. Sometimes people dislike you, and that's okay. Sometimes people doubt you, and that's okay. Why? Because your life is not a courtroom. You are not here to defend yourself endlessly. You are here to live, to grow, to improve, to build peace internally. Another powerful Stoic lesson, detach from being understood. This is hard, very hard, because humans naturally want acceptance, understanding, approval. But the moment you emotionally depend on being understood, you become vulnerable. Because not everyone will understand your growth, your silence, your ambition, your mindset, and that's fine. You don't need universal approval. You need inner peace. That matters more. Imagine becoming this calm. People gossip. You stay focused. People doubt you. You continue building. People misunderstand you. You stop chasing explanations. That version of you becomes powerful. Because emotional noise no longer distracts you, and focus becomes easier. Peace becomes easier. Life becomes lighter. Now understand this deeply. Silence is not about becoming cold. It's about becoming controlled, wise, intentional. The goal is not to suppress emotions. The goal is to master them, because mastered emotions create freedom. Freedom from overreacting. Freedom from proving yourself. Freedom from emotional exhaustion. That is real power. and real power is quiet. This is why Marcus Aurelius spent little time arguing with the world. He focused on character, action, discipline, because wisdom understands something important. Time is limited, peace is valuable, and energy should never be wasted carelessly. So from today, stop proving your worth, stop over-explaining yourself, stop reacting to everything emotionally. Instead, protect your peace, protect your energy, protect your mind. And remember this, the strongest person in the room is often the quietest one. Because while everyone else is reacting, they are mastering themselves.